Hey guys, welcome to a new sewing video. I am doing some stash busting. I need to work through my stash. We have a tiny little home, not a lot of room to store heaps of fabric. So I'm trying to kind of work through what I have and make some pretty things out of the fabrics I already own. So this fabric has been sitting in my stash for a few years. This was a gift from some friends who traveled to South Africa and they brought this fabric back for me. So this is original South African fabric. It is super beautiful and I want to make something pretty out of it. I wanted to save it for when I could actually sew, which I do think I can say now that I can sew, and that I've made a few projects that have turned out okay. I also recently got myself a bunch of patterns to kind of help with my stash busting, and I felt like this one right here would be perfect to use up this fabric. It's a simplicity pattern, beautiful 50s style blouse dress, I guess. Looks straightforward enough to make, with a few elements that I've never tried before, such as the collar. But I'm really excited to try this out. Unfortunately, I don't have enough of this fabric to make the entire dress, so I have decided that this is going to be my top. And then for the skirt, I got this fabric, which is a bit of a darker green color that I think will match nicely with the pattern, like that. So I'm gonna make the skirt out of this, and I also hope that that will make it a bit more wearable. I was looking for the color because this is a printed fabric. Let's see, so the inside is this green. So at first I was looking for this color to make the skirt with as well, but then I found it and I held them up together and I realized that I was never gonna wear that because it's just so bright, and you guys know I don't really wear bright colors ever. So I feel like pairing it with this darker green will make it a bit more wearable for me. So since I was trying to figure out whether I could make the whole dress out of this, I already cut out my pattern pieces here. So I think for now I'm just gonna start with the top, lay down my fabric and pin on my pattern pieces, try to puzzle everything together and cut everything out. Really excited about this project. I feel like this is gonna be a good one. Famous last words? Let's hope not. That was messy. That took a long time. And I might have made some mistakes, might have to recut some pieces, but all in all I have pattern pieces. I'm just gonna get started on the dress, and if I made any mistakes they will come up sooner or later, so let's just get started. The first step talks about stay stitching. No idea what that is, so I'm gonna Google that and then do it. Great start. So, stay stitching is apparently just doing a stitch through a single layer of fabric along the top to prevent it from stretching and things like that. So I've done that. Now I am to do the same thing on the back, then to the darts and attach the front and back bodice together. So I'm going to do all of that and we'll see what we get. things seem to be going alright so far. Got a nice little bodice going on, everything's looking good. Now there is a rather complicated sounding part with the collar. I've never done a collar before, and this one, yeah, I don't know. The instructions are confusing to me. It says to apply the interfacing, then pin facing to collar. I guess that's just the 2 bits of collar. And stitch again over the first stitching, and then slash between stitching to stitching at inner corner, trim seams and corners. No idea what that means. And then I am to understitch by pressing seam towards facing and stitching through seam allowances close to seam as far as possible. Honestly, no idea. No idea. I'm just gonna try. See how far I get today, in any case. Okay, I figured it out. I need to stitch along this side. It has some markings here that I need to follow, and then I need to cut into this. And then understitching is a technique I wasn't yet familiar with, but it is a technique that's often used for things like collars. And it has to do with stitching the seam allowance into the fold and stuff like that. I will try and show that as I do it. I'm gonna start by just stitching all of this down. And I have my interfacing on the other side here. So yeah, collar in the making. Really exciting. Okay, so I have my little collar here. It's looking quite well actually, I'm very happy with it, but if I understand correctly, the understitching means that from the inside I am to take the seam allowance, press it over the facing, which is the side with the interfacing, and I am to stitch over this as close to the first seam as possible, and that is understitching. So it won't be visible from the outside, but it just stabilizes the inside. So I'm just gonna try that. It's probably gonna be pretty difficult, especially around this part, but let's just try, see what happens. Making a lot of progress here. I am just attaching the facing right now. I attached my collar yesterday night, so it's gonna end up looking something like this, and that'll be the edge of my bodice done. When I sew this together, I'm really excited. I can't believe I made a collar. Feels like a step up again in how advanced of a seamstress I'm getting. Really excited. But yes, I'm gonna attach the collar. I'm just following the steps in the little booklet that came with it. It all looks very complicated at first, but then once you start doing it, it actually kind of just, you know, unfolds itself and becomes clear what you should do. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going. Time to do the buttons after this, and then it's onto the skirt already. Okay, the bodice is pretty much finished at this point. I am very proud of it. Yeah, just wow. Anyways, the next step is to make buttonholes. However, since this dress also has a zipper down the side, I think I'm gonna wait and see if I can get away with making fake buttons. So just stitching the buttons through the front, because you know how I feel about buttonholes. I'd have to make them by hand, would take forever, and I'm not likely to use them anyway if it has a zipper and I don't actually need them. So I think I'm gonna just wait to do the buttonholes, and move on with the next step. However, something I can do now is to make the actual buttons. I got myself some of those coverable buttons again, these, and I cut some fabric bits, and I would love, of course, for the button to be, you know, just one circle. So I think I'm just gonna do those now and wait with the rest of my button making until I know whether I actually need to do that. Looking at these buttons now, I'm thinking it probably would have been cuter to make this out of the skirt fabric, because it kind of just disrupts the pattern, really. And maybe that would have pulled the two parts together a bit more. I was so hung up on the idea of getting this pattern in the center of the button that I never realized it might not actually be the best idea anyway. I might change that later. Let's move on to the next step for now. It's time to do the skirt. The skirt is attached and gathered and all done, so I've just tried it on to see whether I could get it over my head with the buttons closed, and I definitely can with the zipper on the side, so I'm gonna just do fake buttons in the front, save myself the trouble of doing buttonholes. Yeah, I feel like the waist is maybe a little bit uneven. It's not that bad, but because the fabric is different, it shows a little bit more, but there is a belt that goes over this that I think I'm gonna make in the end, so that shouldn't be too big of a problem. I think I'm gonna just attach the buttons first and then do the zipper, and then all there's left to do is sleeves and hemming the skirt. I'm very happy with it so far. The zipper is in. I just hand stitched that down. That's really nice. So next up is sleeves, and I actually made a bit of a mashup between two sleeve types, because one was a very short sleeve and one was just over the elbow, but I like my sleeves just above the elbow, so I'm just doing a little bit of a longer short sleeve, I guess. But that's pretty self-explanatory, just putting in the sleeves, so let's do that. I finished setting the sleeves, which was horrible to do as always, but I think they look acceptable. So all there's left to do now is to hem the skirt and fold up, slip stitch, finish the sleeve, and then the whole dress will be done and I'll be able to show you the final results. I am very happy with it. Some things I think I can improve. First of all, I think it's a size too big. I was in between two sizes and I decided to go with the bigger size, but I think I should have gone with the smaller one because it's just a bit big everywhere. I tend to make my clothing quite, you know, tight fitting, and this is just quite roomy. I don't think it's super horrible. I don't think it looks like I'm wearing someone else's clothes, but still I would have preferred it to be a bit tighter. Second thing, there are quite a few raw seams on the inside still that there were no instructions on, you know, finishing. So I think I'm just gonna go in with my pinking shears and go over those, try and get that, you know, a bit more fray proof. I might just go back and actually hand file them just because I like my seams finished. I did end up going with the light colored buttons. I felt like with the darker buttons, I have them here, it might have ended up looking a bit costumey maybe, or like doll's clothes. So yeah, I am glad that I went with the lighter ones in the end. After all, I'm very happy with the collar. I absolutely love that I made that. Feels like a bit more, you know, advanced sewing that I did, but it does have a little bit of a tendency to crease. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but it just does. I do think I want to make some belt loops because my natural waist is a bit higher than the waistband of this dress, and I want to hide this seam obviously where the top meets the skirt. So I think I'm gonna do some belt loops here to hold that in place. All in all, I am quite happy with it. The zipper looks good, back looks good, everything looks quite okay. A little bit too big, but alright looking. I love the skirt. Does it twirl? It kind of twirls. I'm very happy with that. I do think I could wear a petticoat under this as well, and it would also look very nice. So yeah, this is it. I am very glad I was able to use this fabric. I do think the dress does the fabric justice. I think it's very special. It's very different from what I would usually wear, but I kind of like that. And I am very glad that I went for a darker skirt, because that definitely makes it much more wearable, I think, than if it all would have been bright green, you know. The belts, this is the last thing I made. I did that off camera, but it's really simple. It's just basically strips of fabric tied into a bow, and it closes with a hook and eye closure here. And obviously this kind of cinches the waist in a little bit, which I like, so that it doesn't look as wide. That is the finished product, so I really hope you enjoyed watching this little sew with me video, guys. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for loads more beauty and lifestyle content and sewing videos. If you'd like to support me through Patreon or my merch store, there are links in the description box below. Thank you so much for your support. There is another video here that I think you might also enjoy. You can go watch next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye!